Hi, I'm Jason Inman.
And I'm Ashley Victoria Robinson.
Welcome to DCTV Recap, the recap show where we answer your questions about all the CW DC TV shows. It's a new format. It's a new year. A lot of you guys last week loved it, so we're going to stay with it. But before we get to your questions, and stick around through all your questions because at the very end, we got a little contest we're going to be telling you about. But we want to tell you about our Patreon, patreon.com/Jawiin, Jawiin. If you know about the YouTube ad apocalypse where YouTube is randomly demonetizing videos like Deathstroke cuts off heads, well, that has affected this channel a lot. And for the last couple months, the Patreon has been basically the only thing that has been keeping these videos going, these videos solvent. So we have a new goal at 1,500 buckaroos over there on the Patreon. I'm going to make a new podcast, a podcast where I interview comic book creators and writers about their process, about their favorite characters. So if you've ever wanted to dive deep, it would be my hope to get some of these CW writers, because I know a bunch of them, on this show. Get behind their thinking process, their writing process. So if that sounds cool to you, you want to help us hit our goal, go over to patreon.com/Jawiin and support all this amazing free content, that we give out to you. All right, so now let's go to your questions. Clone Yoshi. I almost wanted to say Clone Yoshi. Clone Yoshi 4JJ asks, do you think we'll see Static Shock show up in any of the shows? Maybe a Black Lightning or from one of the other Earths?
Oh, that's a cute idea.
I think maybe he's trying to say that maybe it's maybe that's Static from another Earth.
Ashley,
what do you think? Do you think we got a good shot of Static Shock showing up somewhere in the Arrowverse?
I'm actually surprised that Static is a character who's not used more, given his popularity and given the nostalgia that everyone is sort of diving into right now and the popularity of that TV show.
And a very popular cartoon. Yeah.
I think Black Lightning is the most likely suspect of where we'll find him. I don't think it'll be in this first season, though.
Well, the interesting thing a lot of people don't know about Static Shock is that Static Shock is not technically owned by DC.
No, he's what we call a Milestone character.
Yeah, he's owned by Milestone. Now, Milestone back in the day was a comic books company that was owned by DC, but they had the rights to all of their characters.
Yeah, that means now, DC can't do what they want willy-nilly
without their permission. Without their permission. Now, those characters appeared in Young Justice because they got their permission.
Yeah.
Now, the Milestone comic books are coming back. So that tells me that everything is smooth over. But I think that's the exact reason why we haven't seen Static. I would love to see Static. I think the perfect way to introduce Static, I think you got two ways to introduce Static. Either make him a high schooler at Jefferson Pierce's school.
He should be one of Jennifer's schoolmates.
Yep. Or you should just meet him in Legends somehow.
I think he would do pretty good in Legends, yeah.
Now let me ask you this. I think maybe the Legends appearance would be better because, and let's go into the weeds on this conversation just a little bit.
Okay.
Is it slightly offensive, or is it too much to assume that the other African American superhero should appear on the only African American superhero show that we have?
Right. That's a tough question, and I think it's a double-edged sword. And this is obviously me speaking as not an African American person. I think that on the one hand, you can use a show like Black Lightning or a movie like Black Panther as a way to open the door to a lot of great African or African-American characters and actors that haven't been highlighted in some of the other shows. And I think because of that is why everyone is now jumping to this conclusion that that's where Static would be. Also because Static and Black Lightning are part of this group of African or African-American characters that have lightning powers all for some reason. So there's a correlation on two fronts. I don't think he has to appear there. And I think you bringing up Legends is a really great point. But I think if you are looking at face value, the most likely suspect, I think it's still Black Lightning.
Yes, and I thought this conversation, I wanted to bring this up because I thought this was an important conversation to have. And I think it was an interesting point to debate. So don't leave us stupid comments or I'll delete them. But yeah, even with that issue, I still think that Black Lightning is the best place for a Static show up because Jefferson's a high school principal, and I think to create this mentor-mentee relationship would be a great story.
But also then, as opposed to on The Flash, where all the characters are either adult or like Wally was in university for like a whole minute, you have to find reasons to take them away from their day-to-day situations. And in a setting like Black Lightning, you could see a 16-year-old Static at school and not being a dropout.
Yeah. All right, great. Let's go to the next question. Superhero Cop Vlogs said, Jawiin, do you think somewhere down the line a future Jax will return as a solo Firestorm? The writers could just pull something up their ass and say in the future they know how to make Firestorm without two people. Now, this question is a solution that I suggested a while ago during our DCTV Recap Legends reviews, that I said that I figured they were just going to figure out a way to make Firestorm work with one person. Apparently that didn't happen because the actor Franz left the show. Now, I wonder if there is some sort of edict from DC Comics, because DC Comics does get to say yes or no to the things these shows do. Like, the writers don't get to go willy-nilly. Eventually, it goes through the line, and DC Comics, Warner Brothers has to approve it. So certain times, that's the reason why characters can't be used, for the reason why Deathstroke for a while couldn't be used by Arrow.
Or Harley Quinn.
Or Harley Quinn, or Nightwing, or Batman. That's the reason why these characters don't show up in the show, because they're not approved. So, I wonder if there's maybe an edict somewhere along the way where they're like, no, Firestorm has to be a two-person Matrix. That's the whole point of his character, and we don't want to confuse the brand. I would love to see him come back because I love Jax, and I thought he became a great character, and I do miss him. But if he comes back, I think he brings another person with him. What do you think?
I don't think he's coming back, and I'll tell you why. I don't even think it has to do with the Victor Garber, Martin Stein left, so I guess we're going to get rid of the other half of Firestorm. Jax and Wally West would serve the same purpose on the Wave Rider. They're both.
And you think Wally takes Jax's spot?
I do, because that's been announced now that he's coming to Legends. They're both these mechanical engineer types. They're fix-it guys. They're interested in technology. And I think if you're going to bring Wally over, who's frankly a bigger star from a bigger show, and I don't mean that offensively, I just mean it speaking from a business standpoint, and that's the goal that you have come up with, that, or the role that he's going to fill on that ship, then of course you're going to get rid of Jax, especially in the wake of the death of Martin Stein, where you're like, cool, we don't even know what we're doing this character to begin with. I think it was an easy solution to a number of different story problems.
Sure.
I don't think he's going to come back.
Ever.
I don't.
No,
and I think that's a bummer because Legends doesn't tend, and thank God we've never seen the Hawks back, to bring back characters in a long-term capacity after they left.
I was going to be like Captain Cold. I was like...
Yeah, that's
true. Who keeps coming back every season. Although Captain Cold, not originally a Legends character.
Not originally a Legends character. And we did know after he left Legends that he had a couple cameo appearances left in his contract. But Legends, more than any other show, hasn't brought back a lot of their previous characters.
Damien Dark.
Again, but originally an Arrow character.
That's true. Oh, but almost every Legends character is originally another character.
Well, okay.
They don't have many original characters, actually, when you think about it.
You're right.
Okay. Logano Gaming asks, hey, I'm trying to make my own comic book. Do you have any suggestions or advice? The biggest piece of advice that I'm going to give you is a piece of advice that you've read from several other people, reread it too, is do it. I've seen that from Brian Michael Bendis. I've seen that from Greg Pak. And you, on the outside, before you make your comic book, really look at that piece of advice as like, that's stupid, but it's true. Because if you don't actually make it, you can't actually make it. So my biggest piece of advice is actually write the script, because if you do that, it's actually done. Search through Twitter for artists. And ask one of them that are at the same level as you. Like, don't email Dan Jurgens and be like, hey, Dan Jurgens, artist of Action Comics, would you make a comic book with me? Because he's always going to say no. Look for somebody at the same level as you, and then start making your comic book. It's a lot simpler than it seems.
I would also say if you're looking for advice that's more process-based, not to bring it up again, but on Patreon, we are releasing our process, like our script to...
Not really our scripts,
but like process work that we did on Jupiter Jet, and that would be a great way to gain insight, and you could always ask us more detailed questions there. And we're not the only resource that does that.
There's lots of great books out there, too. Like, Brian Michael Bendis wrote a great book. Greg Pak wrote a great book. That are specifically about making comic books as well.
Yeah.
If you're a reader.
So there you go.
I hope that helps. Let us know when you make it.
Send us your comic.
Yeah, please do. Azure Thoughts asks, what alternate Earths do you want to see? And do you somehow want to get Rip's family back into the series? I want to answer the second question first, Ashley. Rip's family, no. All right, alternate Earths, Ashley. What alternate Earths do you want to see?
I'm going to circle back to that. The only part of Rip's family I'm interested in is Booster Gold. Yes. There you go.
We need Skeets. All right.
Yeah. Oh my God, Skeets would be so great. I think the most DCTV thing to do, because DCTV excels at taking weird comic book concepts and making them cool.
Yeah.
Would be the Amalgam Earths.
What?
Never gonna happen.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I like that idea.
But that would be,
let's get
to
one
me,
that they can
that's
actually do.
like the pinnacle of what you can do.
Let's actually do what they can do. Yeah.
I think maybe the Red Sun Earth, or that version of things, would be really interesting. I think it would be very topical right now. And that's another thing that the DCTV shows can do really well is, like Arrow with the gun control episode last year, they can comment on contemporary issues, and I think that would be really interesting. Plus, the Nazi Earth was really neat, so that's another shade of that.
Yeah.
So that's what I think. How about you?
You know what I think would be the most fun alternate Earth to see? I don't know the number for it. I think it might be Earth 19, but there's an Earth out there in the 52 multiverse where all the heroes are gender swapped.
Yes, yeah.
Like, so Superman's a woman and Batman's a woman, but it's Wonder Man, and and they're all flipped.
Yeah.
So I think it would be neat to see, like, I don't know I don't have a better name, Elicity Queen. And Barilla Allen.
Yeah.
And White Hawk.
It would be Olivia Queen.
Olivia Queen,
and
yes.
Beryl Allen.
Well, I think that would be a neat little twist. And it would fit the best on Flash. But it'd be interesting for Cisco to meet girl Cisco.
Yeah.
And have her be like, he's like, oh, I'm sort of attracted. Pure thoughts.
I'll also say that would be a really interesting way to incorporate Justice League or like the Trinity characters without having to worry too much about what the movies are doing.
Yeah, because I think you could show you know what? That might, to be honest with you, that might be right, because that might be the best way to show Batman in this universe, because you're showing Batwoman.
Yeah.
You're not showing Batman, you're showing Batwoman in this universe. But I think that universe would be a lot of fun. There's also a universe where they're all robots that I think would be a lot of fun.
Where they're all babies?
There is, but I don't know how you pull that off in live action.
I want the Captain Carrot Earth. I want Super Pets.
Oh man, the Captain Carrot Earth. But I really think the gender swapped Earth would be a really fun one. But there is an Earth out there that is so awesome, and I really thought Legends was going there at the end of last season. The Commandy Earth.
Yeah.
The apocalyptic Earth. That is Earth 51, I believe. And Commandy's the only human boy, and all the people are animals. That's the perfect Earth for these shows, especially Legends.
Commandy too. Like, you can race bend Commandy. He doesn't have to be a blonde guy. Like, you just cast whoever's the best.
Commandy could be a woman for all I care.
Sure.
As long as there's a post-apocalyptic planet
with a talking tiger.
With talking tigers and dinosaurs. Perfect, and go full on Jack Kirby, which Legends has done before.
Yeah.
Legends does sometimes go very Kirby-ish sometimes, which I think is really cool. All right, our final question comes from Atomic Turtle, which I think is just a cool username.
It is.
Would you like to see Dr. Fate on Legends? Plus, I love your channel. I don't understand the I love your channel question. I love your channel. No, I'm just joking. I love your channel as well.
Kind on the internet.
Dr. Fate on Legends. We've been asked sort of a similar question. We did a video about Zatanna on Legends.
I think people want to put the more magic-y characters there because...
Well, they are doing the magic arc.
Right, but because that's where Constantine is right now. And Constantine has been on Arrow.
And as far as we know, Maulus, the villain of Legends this season, is a magic wielder. I think we're going to find out a reveal that he's actually technology, and he's, again, like it's the Thor idea that he's so far advanced
that people think he's magic.
Again, I still like the theory that was brought up by one of our listeners that Maulus is just a time master somehow, which I was like, that's a cool idea. Now, here's the interesting idea. With Constantine now part of the Arrowverse, you have to go for the question of, does that mean his television show is part of the universe? Because that show is now on the CWC, and you can watch on the CWC. And in that show, in his little headquarters, we saw Dr. Fate's helmet.
Yeah.
So, actually, let's answer that question. Do you think Constantine's show is now part of the Arrowverse?
I really want to say no. I think I'm sad that show is canceled, but I think that show had a lot of problems.
It did have a lot of problems.
And I think the problems in it ran deep. And I think Matt Ryan as Constantine is maybe the only boon, which is why he's the only thing that we've seen cross over in a meaningful way.
Yeah.
However, Supergirl season 1 is part of the continuity.
Yep. And that was on a different network.
So I think the answer has to be yes. But I don't think it has to be on Earth 1. I think Constantine maybe comes from a different Earth.
Okay.
And that's where, what was his horrible girl sidekick? Like, that's where she lives.
Yeah. I remember. Let's not talk about her.
And whatever. But like, I think it's another. In the way that Supergirl is like a pocket, and Black Lightning is probably gonna be a different pocket.
Well, yeah.
Since we haven't. We're 2 episodes.
We still think she's on Black Lightning's on Supergirl.
Supergirl's Earth. Yeah, but
Earth 38, which I apologize. A couple weeks ago, I got the numbers mixed up. I apologize.
But like it seems like Black Lightning's at least not an Arrow's Earth. Like, I think Constantine exists in a different Earth, and because he's magic, he's the one who's coming in between the different Earths.
I agree with you. I think there's Constantine's solo series, which I recommend watching if you're a fan of Constantine.
I do.
It's not a great show, but Matt Ryan's so good in it that you just kind of get through it. And the show does get better. Like, it's only 13 episodes, and towards the end, it gets really good. And again, I'm pretty certain they put it on CW Seed.
Yes, to their credit, they do course correct. I just think it was too little too late.
There's nothing in that show that contradicts any of the other shows. Yeah. So to me, I say that show can take place on Arrow, on Earth 1, on the Earth of the Flash. Because again, Constantine, he's in his own little corner. He's in Atlanta most of the time, and you don't see it. So I say that show happens. I think Dr. Fate could appear on Legends. Now, Dr. Fate, I love that character. I think he has an amazing design. I'm pretty certain I have a Dr. Fate. I have a Dr. Fate on set right here.
There you go.
Because I bought this figure because I love Dr. Fate. I think his design is so cool. This, of course, is the JSA, the modern version of Dr. Fate. It's not the classic version of Dr. Fate. But the problem with Dr. Fate is the same problem you have with Superman. Dr. Fate is so powerful that he can overwhelm a show, or he could beat the villain almost instantly. So when you use him in a story, you have to be careful that he doesn't do that there's no drama or anything like that.
Can I pitch you how to put him on Legends?
Would love to hear it. So would Dr. Fate.
He's so cute.
Tell it to him.
Dr. Fate, you're really great, but I think who's so overwhelmed with emotion. I think the way to do it is to do the hoodie version of Dr. Fate, the younger. What's the young boy?
Oh yeah,
the young Egyptian kid. So that way you have your sort of typical coming of age hero's journey where he can't control his power.
He discovers the helmet.
Yeah, and that way it's the helmet and it's the hoodie, and you can make him appear of like Wally or Jax or any of the young guys who's around. I think that's the way to do him on Legends without running into the Martian Manhunter of it all.
Cool. All right, so there are all your questions, and guys, we want great questions for next week as well, because we're really enjoying this new format, and we got some announcements coming up sooner that we have ways that we can incorporate you guys more into the video. That's what we want. We want this video to be a conversation. So go down in the comments, leave us some amazing questions, and the best question, we're gonna pick the best question in the comments, and that we use next week. I'm gonna send you this Superman fidget spinner. This is going to be your prize, the Superman fidget spinner.
Distract yourself at super speed.
Exactly. I can only send it to people in the U.S., so when you write your comment down in the comments, make sure to put in the U.S. or U.S. so that I know you're in the U.S., okay? But the best question gets the Superman fidget spinner, and we're going to use it next week. I'm loving the new DCTV Recap. Dr. Fate's loving the new DCTV Recap and all the good stuff. Thanks for watching. So go below this video and click subscribe, and also click that little bell so you get notifications when a video comes out.
And if you want to watch more cool geeky videos, why not click on any of them popping up on the screen?
Don't forget, go to patreon.com/Jawiin to help support the channel and help make that Storyteller podcast happen. I want that podcast to happen. So does Dr. Fate. Make it happen. Please help us.